Hi everybody, and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Terry, and today I was going to make quiche for supper. I had some leftover ham I wanted to get used up, but getting started a little bit late, so I'm going to have to push this. Still have to make up the pastry for the pie shells. So I had leftover ham, like I said, and I'm going to grind it up with my handy old meat grinder here that's seen better days, but you can't seem to get new ones anywhere on the internet that are the same kind of thing, and you have to hold it because it doesn't suction that well anymore, but we do what we got to do. So I'm going to go ahead and grind up this ham, and I'm going to measure out how much it ends up being left over, and if I end up with 2 cups, then I can make 2 big quiches, and hopefully I'll have plenty to do that. Okay, we'll be back soon. Okay, I'm back. Well, I will have plenty enough to make 2. They only need about a cup or so of ground ham for each quiche, and they're in the big 10-inch glass pie plates. And the extra that I have, I'll grind that up as well, and I will just put it away in the fridge to make into sandwiches. Okay, thanks. Okay, ham's all done, ground up, and there's enough left over here to put in the fridge and mix with some mayonnaise maybe and green relish tomorrow or the next day and have with a sandwich. Okay? Okay, I'm back. Now, the ham's all ground up and ready to go, and I have 2 cups, and that's all I'm gonna make today is 2 quiches. I'm gonna get busy and do the pastry. People ask me, they go, oh, can you give me your recipe for your pastry? And I'm like, it's not rocket scientist. I don't have a secret recipe for pastry. I buy tender flake, and the recipe is on the bottom. So it calls for 5.5 cups all-purpose flour. I have 3 there right now. I'm gonna put my salt on top of that, 2 teaspoons of salt with that flour, and then I'll add the other 2.5 cups and sift it all and mix it together so the salt and the flour are together. And then I will cut up my my lard. What do they call it? Pure lard. Yeah, pure lard. And then I will add the cold water. To a 1 cup measure, they want a tablespoon of vinegar, an egg, and then in a 1 cup measure, combine the vinegar and egg, and they add the water to make 1 cup, and gradually add that to the flour mixture and the lard mixed together, cut up. And I'll come back to that in just a minute. Okay? So for right now, I'm just going to finish measuring this, and we'll be back. Okay, here we are. The flour, 5.5 cups flour, like I said, and 2 teaspoons of salt. And let's just sieve that. I like to sieve everything. I know people don't anymore, but I do. Okay, that's great. And we'll move on to the next. Okay, here we go. I have the tender flake cut up into chunks in the bowl, in my grandmother's grip stand bowl from 50 years ago or more, a long time. I'm sure she had it more than 50 years, actually. I've been married 50, so she probably had it 70. Anyway, dump in all this flour and salt mixture. There we go. I always make so much racket when I'm doing that, don't I? And then we're just going to cut all this flour into this lard here until it resembles small little chunks, and we'll be back and show you that. So the flour and the lard are pretty much all mixed together now to a nice pebbly size, if you can see that. You know, years ago they said, you know, either use one of these pastry cutters or use 2 knives to do this. Can you imagine? I can't imagine how many hours it would take me with 2 knives cutting this into pea-sized bits for this. Anyways, probably one of the better inventions that's ever been around. Use it for a lot of other things besides making pastry. Okay, really am finished this time. Clean off this pastry blender, make sure most of the big pieces are all back in there. And now I'm just gonna go wash my hands, take off my jewelry so I don't get flour all over it, and we'll be back and mix this up, okay? Okay, before we get going here and put this together, I just want to show you, in this 1 cup measure, I have put an egg, again from my daughter-in-law, Shauna's chickens, adding 1 tablespoon of white vinegar, and I'm gonna whisk that up with a fork, and then I'm going to add ice water that I had put ice cubes in this water to get it nice and cold, and I'll fill that cup right up to the 1 cup mark. Okay, just back for a quick recap, just in case some people live in countries where you can't get tender flake lard. It says you could use 6 cups of pastry flour, but since I always use all-purpose, it says 5½ cups. So 5½ cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of salt. I sift it, doesn't say you have to, I don't think, but I do. And then cut in with the 1 pound of the shortening or lard. Then I've made this up to 1 cup, and it has a tablespoon of vinegar, white vinegar is fine, and a large egg, and fill it up with the ice water to 1 cup. And then I'm gonna just pour it in here all over and start mixing that in, okay? Okay, I guess you guys would all like to see me get my hands dirty here in this dough, because there's really no other way you can do this, really. And it's kind of better to do projects like this, baking, when all the little grandkids aren't here and wanting to help, because it can get rather messy. Anyway, okay, we're mixing that all up, holding it in, and you know what I have to do pretty quick here before it gets dark. It's 4 o'clock. Pretty light for a little while yet, but I need to run out to my garden and grab some green onion in this quiche, because it's really nice to have the green onion. I think probably better than the leeks. I think last time I made it, I put in some leek, but the green onions are a little nicer. So, and like I showed you in one of my last videos, those green onions were all free basically. Last year, someone had mentioned to me just to cut off the little white ends with the root and put them in a bag in your fridge. And I did, like I said, for months. And when spring rolled around and I was out there planting carrots and beets, I thought, oh, there's a couple of inches of space left here. I'll just throw these ends of these onions in, and I did. It was about 12 or 13, and every single one rooted and came up and made a nice big green onion that I have been using for 6 months. I guess I've been taking chunks off. I don't pull the whole onion out. I just keep letting it grow and have new green shoots. And this works great. They're big onions. So usually I have to slice them in the green top and do that way. Okay, that's just about pretty much done now. And I'm gonna run out to that garden, get the green onion, and then flour an area here on the counter. Good thing I have an 8-foot long island to do this baking, and we'll start rolling out some dough for those pie shells, okay? Okay, here we go down into this yard. Try not to break my neck on these stairs. It is raining here in Victoria, and I don't even know what the temperature is actually. I haven't looked at the thing lately. Okay, so here we are over at my onions, and that looks like a pretty nice one right there. Just take that end off of there. And what have we got down here? Some nice younger ones. You know, we just take another here. Looks like they're just coming out. Here's one that's tender. You know, these have been out here all winter, and they're actually either gonna make it or they're not. Doesn't even matter, because, you know, like I said, they were free, really. Okay, maybe I will take this one too. Okay, that's enough. Now we'll swing back around here. Boy, this patio sure needs a good pressure washing this spring. I'll look forward to that. I love getting out here with the water and spraying that. Okay, back in the house now, and we'll finish up this quiche. Okay, here we are back, and I'm just gonna, before I roll out this pastry, I'm gonna cut up a bunch of these. You know, I find cutting them up with a scissor because they're so big easier. But anyway, I'm gonna finish cutting those up, have a bowl full to sprinkle in that quiche, and then we'll get to rolling out that pastry. There we go. All right, here we go. Sprinkle this board with lots of flour and use this for pastry here. Making sure it's nice and held together good. Don't like to knead it too much. It's too tough, I think. Everybody's got their own opinions about what's good and what's not. So, just the way I've always done it. All right. Now I'll just keep rolling this out till I get it to a nice big size that will fit one of these 10-inch Pyrex. Okay? Okay, that's rolled out to a size that's plenty big. What I do is fold it in half like this, put it here like this, take it like this, bring it back towards me gently, try not to make a big mess, and then just ease it nicely into there. And I will go around with a knife and cut the edges and fold them up, okay? Okay, now I'm just going around the edge here and cutting. You know, people use knives. I like the scissors. Cuts it nicer. And I leave a bit of overhang so that I can go back, and everybody has it differently, you know? Some people use a fork. I do it this way. Sometimes I fold it under, make it a thicker crust on the top. It depends. Right now, I think I'm just gonna go like this with my fingers and bring up that extra into there and just go around like that. Looks good. You know. Probably what, one little finger right there. Yeah, like this, go like that. Make it all nice and bring up those little edges that are a little bit thinner there, just so that they don't get too overcooked around the edges. And okay, and that's about it. That's that one. Okay, ready for the egg mixture, and I'm gonna do another one, and then I'll get busy with mixing up the ingredients to fill those with, okay? Okay, we're just back here at pie shell number 2, and then I'm going to saran wrap up nice and tight the rest of this pastry that's left over, because I'm sure sometime in the next few weeks I'll use it for something. I have enough butter tarts in the freezer at the moment, so that's okay, but maybe I'll think of some kind of pie. Take some berries out of the freezer or something and make a pie. That would be nice. Though I do have some already in there. You know, with this COVID, people just aren't over here eating enough and not having enough family dinners to get rid of some of the stuff that I've got in the freezer. So there's another pie there, and we'll be back. Just doing a little cleanup here before I move on, because flour in the mess. Sweep the floor and clean up. And I've had my eggs out there getting to room temperature for the last little while. So, and it calls for 3 eggs for each of the pies, but I'm gonna do 2. And so, you know me, I always throw in an extra one. So I'll do 7 eggs just for the heck of it. Throw in 7, okay? Okay, we're cleaned up. And January the 24th, 2020. Ooh, 2021. Mercy. 2020 will live in our memories forever. Okay, so I bagged up this pastry, and I will keep it in the fridge until I'd like to use it again, which hopefully won't be too far in the future. You might wonder why I didn't just go ahead and make up some more pie dishes and put them in the freezer, probably because I have no room in the freezer left for that. I have two freezers. I have a big chest freezer and I have a big stand-up one we bought a couple years back from Costco, and they're pretty full, and so probably hold on to that till I decide what I'm gonna make with it. So, okay, moving on. Okay, I'm getting ready to mix up the liquid ingredients, I guess you'd call, for these quiche. Now, one pie calls for 3 eggs, so of course I'm doing 2. Instead of 6 eggs, I'm going to put in an extra one, put in 7. It also calls for 1.5 cups of light cream for each pie. So I have a big tall one here of the 50/50 cream. So I'll use 3 cups of that. 1/2 teaspoon of salt for each. So I'll use 1 teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. So I'll use 1/2 teaspoon. And it calls for 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg. So I will put in 1/4 teaspoon of that. So I'll start putting in the eggs now. Again, one's for my daughter-in-law Shauna's chickens. And we'll start beating that up and we'll see how that goes. Okay. Okay, 7 eggs are in here and I'm going to beat them till frothy. And the eggshells are all in a bucket on my back porch where they will dry out a little bit, and I will crush them down and use them on the garden. Okay, those eggs are beaten till frothy, and I'm going to add 3 cups of the 50/50 light cream, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and then we'll be back. Okay, all that's added in there now, and it just says to give it a stir. So the salt, the nutmeg, the pepper, the cream, and the eggs nicely. And now, because you know me, I don't like to waste electricity, before I start putting the ham and the grated 2 cups of cheddar cheese and the green onions into the shells, I'm going to turn my oven off. And I only need one of my ovens because both those pies I know fit into one. And so what it does call for, I think, what I've always done, is I sprinkle some of the mixture on the bottom. The ham, there's 2 cups of ham ground up, 2 cups of cheddar cheese, and a bunch of the green onions. Sprinkle a bunch on the bottom, and then I pour the filling in, and then I add the same stuff again. So I'll go turn those ovens on, and then we'll get busy filling these pie shells. So if you wanted to be really sure that you equally divided it amongst these pie shells and in the bottom and onto the top, you could always measure 1/2 cup on each bottom, and then again another 1/2 cup on the tops, and the same with the cheddar cheese. Okay, so far in there we have ham and some green onions, and then I'm going to add some cheddar on top of that. Okay, and now we have 1/2 cup of shredded grated cheddar on there. Okay, and so I'm just going to try to get these the same depth. Looking pretty even. Yep, that's about it. And now I will just add the other 1/2 of the ground up ham, the cheddar cheese, and the green onions. Okay, in perfect timing, the oven just dinged and we're at 350 degrees, and it says they take about 45 minutes. We'll see. 45 minutes, I don't know. Well, they're not that deep. We'll see. 45, 55 minutes, okay? We'll get busy and do that. Go 1, 2. There we go. Golly gee, I kind of blew that. I should have used some of that pastry and made some bumbleberry jam tarts, folded over. Oh well, could be in trouble for that. Could have been in the oven at the same time. Okay, we'll wait that 45 minutes. Okay, the timer's gone off for my 45 minutes. We're actually about 50 minutes right now. they're looking pretty well done. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna close this oven. I'm gonna turn it off and I'm gonna let them just sit in there for a few more minutes, okay? Okay, here we go. They look all ready and lovely. Take them out. Ah, yes. Delicious. I don't need to try them because I've been making them for enough years that I know they're delicious. The taste really couldn't have changed that much. Okay, there we go. There we go. All done. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed watching me make this quiche Lorraine. We love it, and I make it as often as I have leftover ham and the ingredients to do it. So you guys all take care and stay safe, and we'll see you again soon, okay? Bye-bye. P.S. You could always cheat and buy some store-bought pastry pie shells.